or welcome back. First, I would like to apologize if you can hear any noise. We've been having storms all morning, so I've waited for most of the cloud cover to go over. Every now and then we'll have some pouring rain that you can hear hit the windows, but we've got some wicked winds, and so sometimes you can hear the whistling. But if I wait any longer, this is going to go on all day. We'll never get this done. So the worst of it appears to be over for now, and I'm going to hope it's not too noisy, but if it is, I apologize. Okay, I have a lot to show you. I've got finishes, I've got progress, I've got plans. I have something I want to talk about at the end, and if you stick around for that, that would, great. If not, I understand. So first off, let's go ahead and start with the finish. I had, quite a while ago, finished stitching a Mill Hill chick. This is a Jim Shore chick, and I did it not on the perforated paper, but on fabric so that I could stuff it and have it kind of three-dimensional. That wasn't as easy as I thought. I've never worked with beads before, so trying to assemble this, it's not perfect, but it does have a little bit of a 3D effect. I just stuffed this with some cotton. I'm happy with it when it's on my tree. See if I can turn that the right way. When it's on the tree, it looks really good from a distance. If you get up close, you'll see my edges aren't real perfect. But yeah, so there's no tutorial for this because this was one I was really struggling to put together properly. Okay, so then if you saw my title to this video, I had a new start planned, and I did get to that, and we'll get to that. But I had a unplanned start, and I should probably explain why. I have, in my apartment, I have kind of this long, narrow hallway, which is my entryway. It's not too narrow, but it's there's nothing of interest there. And I like the fact that the hallway is there because it closes off. The other side of that wall would be my kitchen. So I like that the kitchen isn't exposed when you first walk in. But I decided to make that a gallery wall. Now, a lot of my big full coverage pieces, they get like an entire wall. That way it's the focus on that. But some of the littler pieces that I have, I decided to turn into a gallery in that entryway. And I was reworking that. I'll put a picture in here. And if you have any questions about any of the designs you see, just ask me down below. And you can see, well, this is a combination of handmade stuff. So there is a piece from my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter. There's a piece from my youngest granddaughter. There's a piece from my grandson. And there's my cross stitch. But you can see there's a gap at the top there in that one section. And I knew I liked that layout as I was working with it, but I knew I needed something to go there. And it dawned on me that if I used that layout, I do have something that would fit there. And that's why I started it. So I started my Bothy threads. Now, I bought 2 Bothy threads. This is the first one I've ever stitched, a little over a year ago. This is Swallows, and this was a full kit. I don't know if you've ever worked with Bothy threads before, but this was a full kit. It came with 14 count 8. Now, I made a lot of changes, so I'm going to go through the changes. It came with 14 count white aida. I changed that to an 18 count hand dyed. Because I changed it to a hand dyed, this shading in the back here, I decided not to stitch. Now, this look gives you a daytime look. What I was going for was end of the day, sunset, right before the birds go away for the night. So my fabric, I'm hoping, gives that effect. Then this line here that they're sitting on, this power line or telephone line, was done in a silver metallic and then underlined with a black. And I don't like metallic. I can't even stand the feel of the metallic, and it's hard to work with. And so I knew I wasn't going to do that. I played around with a lot of different options, and I finally decided I was just going to go with B5200, and I wasn't going to underline it. And so I don't have that black line across. I think that's all the, while I didn't do the background, I did do this flying bird in the back. So I think that's all the changes I made. And because I want that up, I finished it. So here's my version of Swallows. This fabric is an 18 count from the Sewing Shop. It's called Dear Lisa Frank, and I'll bring this in so you can see a little bit better. And that's my Swallows. So I haven't ironed this yet. I'm a little disappointed that I centered it on the fabric. I can still trim off some and still have pieces for smalls, but it would have been nice to have a little bit larger piece. I wasn't sure what kind of frame I would put this in, if I would just use a standard, 9 by 12 or 8 by 10, whatever would fit. I actually haven't measured this quite yet. With Bothy threads, they don't give you a stitch count. They give you a finished size in centimeters. And I was too lazy to count out to get the stitch count. So I just centered it and figured that way I could use any frame that I wanted. I think I'm going to go with a rectangular frame that is more fitted to the design now that it's finished, rather than something like an 8 by 10. But I'm really, really happy. Let me bring that back in for you again. So I finished. That took me about 4 days. This is how your floss comes if you haven't, done a Bothy threads. It's a little confusing to me. So if you can see some of these, like this number right here, that means that goes in the bottom hole, and if it's up here, it goes in the top hole. It did use blends, and so what I had done originally is I wrote down the symbols and the numbers that went to it, so I didn't have to keep referring back to the key on the chart. But because I put it so close to the edge, I didn't have room to punch holes when I decided I was going to store my extras together instead of separating them and putting them back with the original number. So I just went ahead and I just looped my floss with the 2 strands and took the needle and went right through, and then that way I could do that. And I actually like that better than a punched hole because it holds these so much better. These come loose all the time and these do not. Also on the card, I don't know if you can see, you have the numbers were in here, but not the symbols. So I had to keep going back to the directions or the key. And I finally just said, forget it. And I wrote all the symbols down next to them. Probably the most confusing would be this 397. If it has 1 dash, it's 2 strands. If it has 2 dashes, it's 1 strand. Which, why wouldn't you do it the other way? But that's okay. So I just had to mark that on here that, it was either one or the other. So that's it. Now, this came, as I said, with 14 count. And you can see I still got quite a bit of floss left. There are a couple of colors, for example, this white right here, that if I had done a 14 count, now I'm really stingy with my threads. I save every little piece. Let's see if I can find a little one. That's a long one. Anyway, I save all of my little pieces and I just tie them back on here. You can see a little one maybe hanging right there. So there's 1 or 2 colors that I would have, if I were doing some 14 count, I would have been kind of stingy with, so I wouldn't run out. But the rest of them, it looks like I would have had more than enough to finish anything. So that was my very first Bothy threads kit that I've ever stitched. So my next piece that I want to show you, this is a Village Christmas. Did you hear the wind? Okay, I hope you don't hear that. This is a Village Christmas. This was from the December 2023 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. And this is currently, if you don't have the magazine or you don't want to buy the magazine, you can go to Annie's Attic and you can purchase this as a PDF download for $6.99. So that's where I am. So before, I had to finish the dark color around that frame, and then I had to fill in that window. But I have the first window done. And yeah, there you go, you compare that. So that was fun to get that finished. I I kept putting this down in the past because I was working on all these browns, and it's like 839, 840, 841, 842, and I was just getting so bored with those browns. But once I saw that if I finished that last inner line of brown, bring that in close, you can see that one right there, then I knew I could get to other colors, and that kept me going this time. So yeah, that came out. So then we went into my focus pieces. And my focus pieces are typically Monday through Friday. No, Monday through Thursday. The first one is Strength. This is artwork by Nicolee Payne, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And I'm going to show you in sections here. So first off, I was working to finish this page right here. Let's see. And I will put a picture of where that page was last time you saw it. And that's more of her headscarf coming down. So when it was time to go to the next page, it was headscarf again. And I decided I didn't want to work on the headscarf. So typically, oops, I just dropped it. Okay, typically I would come back up to the top and I'd work diagonally on this, but I decided I was done with the headscarf for now. And there's not a lot more of the headscarf, but I wanted to see more of her face. So once I was finished with that page down there, I came up and got to work on this page. So again, I was filling in a little bit more of this headscarf here, just that little bit that is on this page, and then coming down and doing skin tone. So there's not a whole lot to see there, but here's the before of that page. Now this is currently at 40.20%. And let's see, that would be the bottom. And that, for now, is what the majority of it looks like. So one of my absolute favorites. Actually, you know what? This year, for the most part, I am only working on pieces for me. I have one gift that I'm working on, but because all of these pieces that I'm working on are for me, I can't really pick a favorite. I love them all, or I wouldn't want to have them on my wall. Okay, this next one is Moonrise Whisper, and the week that this came out, I had a really bad stitchy week. I was doing everything else but. I went out, I wasn't around one day, I came home late and I decided I didn't feel like stitching. I had a day where my oldest granddaughter recommended a book to me and I ended up reading for an entire day. But I did get this over 1%. I'm at 1.75%. And these greens are so vibrant, and yet I don't think you can see just how vibrant they are. So I had a little bit down here of this one color, but I was filling in and bringing down. This is the bottom of this page. And let me bring that in there. I think you can see the colors a little better now. Let me put a before and over my face. This is artwork by Jennifer Taylor, and it's charted by Contemporary Cross. And if I didn't say, this is the only piece, all of my, let's do this now. All of the projects that I'm showing you today are on 18 count, except this one. This is on a 20 count. I started another piece by Jennifer Taylor on a 20 count because it's huge. It's 500 by 500, and so I wanted it a little bit smaller. And when I started this, even though this is a different format, it's not square, it's rectangular, I decided I wanted all of her pieces that I do stitch on the same size fabric. So this is the only one that's on a 20 count. Everything else is on 18, but everything I'm going to show you today, with the exception of my dimensions, because I'm stitching it as called for, is 2/1 full cross. So there we go. If I bring that in, you can see those colors better. So that's Moonrise Whisper. I'm going to work this in columns down, just because I think that will give me the most variety as I work, to go from the greens into the vibrant purples and blues and back into some of the green, instead of working all the way across and being stuck in the same colors. So that is that one. So my Sunday project didn't get as much work this time as normal. Oh well, I got to spend a weekend with my grandson, which meant this didn't come out one Sunday. But this is Only the Lonely. Artwork is by Adrian Borda, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And here we go. So I'm working on this page right here, filling that in. And let me put a before and over my face while I bring this in for you. This is just so absolutely beautiful. So when I finish this page, I will be a third of the way done because I will have 5 pages done and there's only 15 pages. So I'm currently at 27.30%. And I know this is by Adrian Borda. It's charted by UnconventionalXStitch. I don't know if I said that. So that one you will continue to see until I finish my main focus piece. Then this will become a main focus piece and get 2 weeks. But for now, it's getting every Sunday. And this one I want to finish this year. So we'll see. So next one that came out was Feasting Frenzy. This is my dimension. This is on an 18 count, and this is stitched 2/1, but in some cases it calls for 2/1 tent, and other cases it's 2/1 full cross. And here it is now. So what I worked on this time is filling in more of the roof, and I started putting in this bird. And I'll put a picture in over my face of where it was. I'm stitching this with Elisa, Eat Crafting in Colorado. I haven't seen her pull hers out recently, but she's obsessed with birds, so I know it will come out here at some time soon. So that's my dimensions. So then we get into my planned new start. This is Brothers, and this is what it should look like. All of that white background is stitched, and I'm not stitching that. And so what I have decided to do, oh, I didn't turn hold on. Let's see if I can turn down the brightness here. All right, let's see if that will work. All right, so here is where it is. So you can see I've started stitching in the black, and you can see that's his nose and his lips right there. So I'm going to, this is all black that you see here, all 310. And I think I'm going to stitch all of the black because then I can come in and start filling in the rest. That'll kind of set it up as, you know, what word am I looking for? My foundation, and I can then work out from there. So now, because I removed all the white, that took, let's see, that I had 20, I don't even think I have it here. Anyway, I put in 273 stitches. I'm at 0.45%. I took out, what is it, 20 some percent? I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. That part I didn't get. And that's where I am. So you can see this is his nose. These are his lips right here. And that's where I'm working. So let me put the picture up again of what it's supposed to look like so you can get an image of, you know, right there's his face. This is probably the least amount of stitching that I've ever shown for progress on a video. But yesterday I spent most of my time frogging. I had started Feasting Frenzy on this, and one of the colors blended in way too much, and so I switched fabrics and I never frogged this. So most of my time that I would have stitched yesterday went into frogging. So this will come out now for the rest of this week. So that's what I will work on this week, and then my focus for the rest of the month during the week is Eyes of the Forest. This is artwork by Ina Bedenko. I purchased this from mybobbin.com. It's no longer available, and I apologize for that. I've tried to find if she's selling her stuff anywhere else, and I've yet to find it at this point. But if I do, I will let you know. So this is where this is at right now. I'm at 63.7%. Let me double check that. 63.5%. I knew that sounded wrong. And so this one I'm color completing. So I think the next few colors are still going to be in the background here and up there. I don't think I have too much more to do in his face for the moment. But this one I'm hoping to finish next month. So this needs to get a lot of attention. So other plans for the rest of this month. This coming weekend is Easter. We celebrate Easter here. And I'm not sure, I usually get together with family. And I know we'll get together at some point here. And I suspect my little dude will want to spend the night since he will have a few days off for school. So not sure. I do plan on working on Feasting Frenzy one of those days. And then I'd like to work on One for Sorrow. This is artwork by Stephanie Pui Law, and it's charted by Heaven Earth Designs. And I just realized I lied to you. This is on a 20 count even weave. So I do have another 20 count. And this is where this is. So this is currently at 17.18%. So I would like to get more done on this. I don't know. I'm trying to work and get all the top half done because I think it'll be more fun to get out of these light colors and work the bottom. I'm considering cropping the bottom, but there's areas of the bottom that I really like. So it won't be until I get down there and as I work on it, I'll decide if I want to crop it or not. But this one I would really like to work on. Like I said, that will be dependent on what our plans are for Easter. And then next weekend, I want to work on Stone Expression. This is artwork by Giuseppe Macconi, charted by Stitching Moon Designs on Etsy. And if you haven't tried her charts, she takes great care to do a fantastic job charting. And so this is where I am on this one. And let me pull that back a little bit so you can see. This one is at, did I write this one down? I don't think I wrote this one down. Oh, I did, 34% precisely. So what I've reached the edge, but I haven't filled in this page. So if I pick this up, I would like to fill in that page and then I can move on. I can either come down here or I probably will come down here and start filling in more here I would like to see her eye come in, that stone eye. So that's what I will be working on. But the goal first is to finish this top row and get this page done. So those are my pieces that I've worked on and the pieces you can expect to see next time. But now, if you want to stick around, I want to talk about something that had me really thinking about the progress, the changes that I see around me in a good way. We're not going politics here. We're going crafting. So I saw this image of Jason Momoa and Jack Black, in which Jason Momoa crochets. And he not only crocheted a sweater for himself in pink, he also did one for Jack Black. And so they're wearing their sweaters and sharing with the world. Jason is said to be obsessed with that style of crochet. And it got me thinking, when I was young, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I grew up, as I've mentioned in the past, with my grandparents. They were very traditional. And, you know, there were things like I wanted to play musical instruments, and I was told, nope, girls don't do that. Girls play piano, and you don't have a wide enough span in your hands, therefore you can't play an instrument. And everything I wanted to do, it was, nope, that's not what girls do. Girls do this. And so there was very defined roles in my life and what I was expected to do. And I totally rebelled that. My grandmother wanted me to bake and craft and do all those girly things, and she wanted me to sew with her, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I was a tomboy. I was catching snakes. I was much more comfortable with my head under the hood of a car with my friends than I was doing anything indoors. So, yeah, I rebelled. I didn't want to be pigeonholed into that traditional style, you know. I wanted the freedom to be whoever I wanted to be. And so anytime I was introduced or encouraged to do something that I saw as a woman's craft or a woman's job, I wanted nothing to do with it. And then I hit about my 30s, and my grandparents let me know. They were disappointed in how I chose to live my life, but they stopped nagging. And it was just, she is who she is, and she's never going to change, and we can't change her. And so at that point in my 30s, I was roughly about 30, 29, 30, I started taking up some crafts. I was home with children, so at night they were in bed. There's only so many books you want to read. I needed other activities to do, and I wasn't going to sit in front of a television. So I first picked up crochet, because that is something I learned, oh my gosh, I think I was 5 or 6 years old. My grandmother taught me to crochet. And at one point, her arthritis, she had 2 types of arthritis, was so bad she couldn't hold the hook any longer. So in hopes that I would pick up a craft, she gave me all her crochet hooks. And so I had been a smoker, and I was quitting smoking, and I needed something to do with my hands, and I went, okay, and I picked up my crochet hooks. And I had asked my grandmother, you got yarn? If I'm going to do this, I need yarn. And she went, pick anything you want. She was so excited that I actually was doing something that women do. And now I see a huge change. We don't nag girls to be a certain way, and we don't nag boys to be a certain way. My oldest grandson was knitting, and I remember he came down here one summer and he said, if you teach me to crochet, I'll teach you to knit. And I had these really big, bulky knitting needles, and so it didn't go real well because I didn't like those needles. And I'm going to learn how to knit this year. But I did teach him to crochet, and he was perfectly comfortable. He would crochet, or he would knit gifts for people. He knitted a case for a phone for a stepmother. I think it was for a phone. But he was very happy to embrace a craft. And he helped take care of chickens, and he did all the things, right? And my granddaughters have been very open to embrace whatever they want. My youngest granddaughter plays 2 musical instruments, and I think she's tried every single craft there is. She sews, she diamond paints. She does not like cross stitch. It takes too long. She beads, she draws. So yeah, the children are very comfortable. And I've noticed here with YouTube, we have a lot of young people who are doing cross stitch, who are crocheting, who are knitting. And I'm so impressed that the stigma of you can't do this because you're a man, or you can't do this because you're a female, or you should do this because you're a female, is gone. To see, here's my picture that inspired this whole conversation, to see these 2 men happily showing off what one man created, it just made me smile. It made me happy to see where we're getting to, and how we accept that everybody can try anything they want. So with that, here's my question for you. So I have several hobbies, right? I cross stitch, I crochet. One of my favorites is I refinish and restore furniture. And that kind of crosses that, you know, that tomboyish, I still like getting dirty, I still like doing that kind of thing. But this is a one-way conversation most of the time. So I would love it if you got this far to tell me what you do. How young were you when you embraced crafting? And what crafts do you enjoy? I would like to know that, because I think this is great, and I like seeing young people who are proud of knitting a top, of wearing handmade clothing, of having this in their homes. This just makes me smile. So that is my little talk. Other than that, it's back to cross stitch. I do try to keep this channel just cross stitch. And with that, I'm going to say I hope you have a wonderful rest of the month. I will see you on May 1st. We'll see how far along I get on this. I'm hoping to see some real progress. So I will see you May 1st, and until then, have a wonderful time. Stay safe.